Welcome to the 20th installment of Ear to the Ground, the Land Stewardship Project's audio magazine podcast. Ear to the Ground features interviews and field reports related to sustainable agriculture, family farming, local food systems, and local democracy. I'm your host, Brian DeVore, editor of the Land Stewardship Letter. What impact do federal crop subsidies have on farmers? The Land Stewardship Project has done extensive work showing that some major reforms are needed in a system that pays farmers for growing a handful of commodities: corn, soybeans, rice, wheat, and cotton. Commodity payments are supposed to help family-sized operations stay in business. In reality, the majority of that money goes to a handful of mega-sized operations. The commodity system also provides an indirect subsidy for large-scale livestock confinement operations by guaranteeing a cheap source of feed. As a result, the commodity subsidy system has produced empty rural main streets, degraded environmental quality, and a feeling on the part of taxpayers that their money is not being spent wisely. It turns out the flawed commodity subsidy system also has negative impacts abroad. The Land Stewardship Project recently teamed up with Oxfam America to bring a West African farmer to Minnesota. While here, the farmer, Seydou Ouredra, talked about his cotton and grain operation in the country of Burkina Faso. Through an interpreter, Seydou talked about how virtually unlimited subsidy payments are flooding the world market, making it almost impossible for farmers like himself to sell their cotton for a profitable price. The gregarious farmer also talked about how farmers from his homeland must work with U.S. family farmers to reform the commodity system and create a fair market for all. Let's listen in on a talk Seydou gave to a group of farmers and other rural residents in Lewiston, in southeast Minnesota.
L'année passée, on a acheté le coton à 0,45 chez nous.
Last year, we sold our cotton for 45 cents a kilo.
Cette année, on a acheté à 0,35.
This year, we were only able to sell that same kilo for 35 cents.
L'année prochaine, on va l'acheter à moins de 0,30.
And next year, we were told that we're going to be able to sell it for only under 30 cents a
Pendant ce
kilo.
temps, le prix des intrants ne fait que monter.
And during this whole time, while the prices drop, the price of inputs continue to rise.
C'est pourquoi il y a 5 pays maintenant qui se sont mis ensemble pour dire, écoutez, arrêtez, parce que ce qui fait qu'aujourd'hui on a des problèmes dans le coton chez nous, c'est parce qu'il y a le dumping au niveau du coton.
And that's why 5 countries from West Africa came together to say this needs to stop. We have problems in West Africa now, largely a part of the dumping that is happening on the international market, the overproduction.
Parce que les gros fermiers ici font du coton qu'ils déversent, qu'ils bradent sur le marché international.
The large cotton farmers here overproduce cotton and dump it then on the international market.
Donc ça fait chuter le prix du coton.
And that causes the price of cotton, the international price of cotton, to drop.
Et si le prix du coton chute sur le marché international, chez nous aussi ça chute.
And if it drops in the market, the international market, the price we're able to sell for also drops.
Quand vous me voyez arrêter ici en Afrique, nous vivons avec moins de $1 par jour. Moins de $1 par jour.
Even today, while I'm here with you, most of us in Africa are living on less than $1 a day.
On est en dessous, c'est-à-dire voici la pauvreté, mais nous on est en dessous de la pauvreté.
That's to say that here's the poverty line, and we're living down here.
Est-ce que on peut s'en sortir?
Can we escape from that?
Donc, raison pour laquelle on a demandé à ce que les subventions soient arrêtées.
That's why we are working and asking that the subsidies need to be reformed.
On a demandé à ce qu'il y ait des réformes au niveau des lois pour permettre à tout le monde, à tous les petits fermiers, pas seulement du Burkina, de l'Afrique de l'Ouest, du monde et même des Américains, parce qu'ici il y a des petits fermiers dans la salle.
We need these changes, these reforms in subsidy policies, so that all small farmers, whether they're in not only in West Africa but in East Africa and the world over, and even here in America, because I know today there are lots of small farmers here in this room.
Parce que est-ce que vous tous qui êtes dans la salle ici, vous n'êtes pas égaux? Est-ce que vous n'êtes pas égal? Vous n'êtes pas même chose? Est-ce qu'il y a des différences?
Because isn't everybody here in this room equal today? Everybody here is equal.
Vous êtes tous même, mais pourquoi on va enlever 2, 3, 4 personnes ici, on donne de l'aide, va produire du mauvais produit, et puis on laisse 40, 50 personnes, eux ils font du bon produit, ils ne sont pas aidés. Est-ce que c'est normal?
But the system will take 2 or 3 or 4 people and will pay them for producing a product, more of a product that may be inferior, and the rest of you, 30 or 40 people who may be producing a better quality product but not as much, don't receive the aid. Is that right?
Parce que j'ai toujours dit, les petits fermiers ils produisent des produits de qualité par rapport aux gros fermiers.
Because I've always said that it's the small farmers that produce the highest quality product, especially when compared to the very large farmers.
Et cela se remarque dans le coton.
And that's the case in cotton. You can see it in cotton.
Vous voyez le coton africain, vous voyez comme c'est récolté.
You take African cotton, you can see how it's being harvested.
C'est avec la main.
It's all with your hands. It's all by
Il n'y a
hand.
pas de saleté comme ça.
It doesn't get
Par rapport
dirty that way. It doesn't get
aux machines qui
anything
vont
else in
venir
it.
tout enlever avec les feuilles, les branches, tout mélanger.
If you use a machine to do it, the machine's going to take the twigs and the leaves and it'll be all mixed together.
Mais comme ce qui est enlevé avec les machines, c'est beaucoup, ça surplombe ce qui a été enlevé avec la main.
But because the quantity of machine harvested cotton is so large, it overwhelms the smaller quantity of hand-picked higher quality cotton on the market.
Donc, quand ils viennent avec ce coton, ils disent qu'on va le vendre à 0,1 dollar. C'est ça qui va marcher.
So if they come with that large quantity of cotton and dump it on the market and say we're selling it for 10 cents a kilo, that's the price it's going to sell for.
J'ai pris un exemple où le représentant américain qui était venu chez nous.
I'll take an example of the American representative that came to Burkina.
Il a visité les machines de chez nous. Il a dit que les machines sont vieilles. Robert Portman a dit que les machines sont vieilles.
Robert Portman, the U.S. agriculture representative to the World Trade Organization, came, toured a factory, and saw the machines that they were using in the factory in Burkina. And immediately after the tour, he told them, "Your machines are too old."
Non, on a dit, il y a pas de. Nous, on veut de nouvelles machines parce que les vieilles machines, on les a payées aux États-Unis ici.
We agreed. We said we want new machines. The old machines we bought from the United States.
Donc, si on avait de l'argent, on serait venu encore acheter ici aux États-Unis les nouvelles machines que vous avez.
If we had enough money, we would have already come here to the United States and asked to buy new machines with our money from the United States.
Parce que vous dites qu'on ne transforme pas notre coton, mais on va transformer le coton avec quoi? Est-ce qu'avec la main, on peut transformer le coton?
And you tell us we need to process our cotton so that it's not raw. But what are we going to process our cotton with without machines? Can we process cotton with our hands?
Hong Kong, on a dit que le coton africain peut avoir accès au marché américain.
The World Trade Organization meetings in Hong Kong, we were told that yes, African cotton can have access to the American market, no problem.
Le coton africain, il est exporté brut à 99% brut.
But the problem is that 98% of African cotton is exported raw, unprocessed.
On dit non que les produits dérivés du coton. D'accord?
We were told, no, we don't want raw cotton in the United States. We want products that are made from cotton.
Mais si on n'a pas de machine pour transformer ce coton, est-ce que les produits dérivés, on pourra avoir des produits dérivés et les exporter ici?
That's fine, but without machines with which we can process that cotton, can we make any products? Can we process any cotton to make any products to send here?
Ma première visite en Californie, j'ai constaté que les fermes ont des tracteurs, ont des moyens de travail assez avancés. Par contre, chez nous, toute une communauté n'a même pas un moyen de travail assez performant.
When I first came, my first visit here to the United States was in California, and I saw farms that had equipment and machinery that were advanced enough and technologically advanced, whereas in my country, an entire community of 2,000, none of us have any kind of machinery or technology advanced to the place where we can be productive.
Mais ici, tout est fait de la culture jusqu'à la récolte, tout est fait à la machine, mais chez nous, tout est fait à la main. J'ai des photos, je ne sais pas si les ont ici. On allait vous présenter comment est-ce que les gens y travaillent.
Here, everything from cultivating the soil to harvesting it is done by machines. In my home, all of that is done by hand. We have some pictures, and we'll get those out, and you can see those of how it happens.
Donc, le système est différent. On ne dit pas aujourd'hui s'il y a une réforme au niveau des subventions.
So, we are at different places, for sure. But if today there were reforms in the system, subsidy system,
ça veut dire que les petits fermiers américains d'abord vont bénéficier de ces changements-là.
The reforms in subsidy would first of all help small farmers here in America.
Donc si eux bénéficient, nous aussi qui sommes en Afrique, on va bénéficier.
And if that is benefiting small farmers here in America, that's also going to benefit us, the small farmers in West Africa.
Parce que c'est 3 escaliers. Hein.
Because it's a system of 3 stairs.
Il y a les agro-businessmen, les gros fermiers qui bénéficient de grosses subventions, eux qui sont à ce stade-là.
So at this first step here are the agro-businesses, the big agro-businesses, the huge farms that benefit most heavily from the current system of subsidies.
Il y a vous, les petits fermiers, qui êtes en dessous.
The second step is you all, the smaller farmers that don't benefit in the same way from the current subsidies.
Et là, il y a le troisième groupe qui a dit les petits fermiers du monde qui sont en bas, qui sont là en bas, en dessous du seuil de pauvreté.
And then there's the third step, the small farmers from the international community that live here, that are there on the bottom, that live under the line of poverty line.
S'il y a un changement, le petit fermier américain va monter, nous aussi on va monter.
If there's some reform in the subsidy system, small American farmers will be able to improve. So will the small international and African farmers.
Donc c'est ce que nous demandons aujourd'hui à travers l'OMC et à travers les États-Unis et l'Union européenne.
So this is what we're asking of the World Trade Organization today, and here with the American government and also with the governments in the European Union.
Parce que deux fois on fait des foutaises aux Africains. Non, deux fois on ne respecte pas.
Voilà. Because oftentimes in this discussion, the African countries are not respected on an equal plane.
Le Burkina Faso a dit pour que le coton puisse permettre aux petits fermiers de pouvoir gagner un peu et mettre dans sa poche et pouvoir se développer, il lui faut 175 millions de dollars américains.
The statistics in the plan that have been worked in Burkina is that for cotton to be able to become productive and to allow the farmers to have enough money that they can put it in their pockets when the year is done to survive and to raise themselves out of poverty, to create that system, you would need $175 million.
Chaque pays a son plan de développement.
And each of the West African countries has a similar plan of their own for development.
Et l'année passée, quand Portman est venu, Portman dit qu'il donne 7 millions de dollars pour 5 pays.
And last year, when Representative Portman came to Burkina and met with the 5 countries, he said that he was willing to give $7 million for all 5 countries to share.
En 2002, les États-Unis sont venus aider. Ils ont aidé le Burkina Faso avec 10 millions de dollars américains.
In the year 2002, the United States gave $10 million of foreign aid to Burkina Faso.
Mais ce que le Burkina Faso a perdu dans l'exportation de ses produits, on a perdu plus de 15 millions de dollars.
But the money that was lost from the current system because of the current systems of subsidies in the export process, Burkina lost $15 million.
Est-ce que vous pouvez dire que ça, il y a de l'aide quelque part?
Can you really say that there is any monetary help there in reality?
Parce que à Hong Kong, on a demandé de l'aide, un fonds de soutien pour pouvoir permettre aux pays africains de pouvoir se supporter dans le coton.
One of the things the African countries were asking for at World Trade Organization meetings in Hong Kong was for a support fund for developing nations in order to help them catch up to the rest of the world.
Mais c'est un jeu qui se passe entre les États-Unis, le gros fermier. J'ai dit c'est le gros fermier. Hein. Quand je parle, vous êtes la même chose comme moi. Mais c'est le gros fermier américain, l'Union européenne, mais qui sont en train de se jouer de vous et de nous.
It's a game. It's a game between America, and when I say America, I'm meaning the big agribusiness of America, not you. You and I are the same. We're small farmers, but it's a game that is happening between America and the European Union. They're playing a game. They're playing a game with you, and they're playing a game with me.
Donc tu vois que c'est un jeu de. Vous appelez ça le ping-pong au niveau des États-Unis. On se fait du ping-pong, on se lance la balle.
It's like a game of ping-pong, as you call it here in the United States. Ping-pong between America and the European Union.
Ou bien le jeu de tennis là.
Or the game of tennis.
Hein? Vous êtes assis, vous et nous on est assis. On regarde comme ça. Donc, c'est ça.
And meanwhile, while they're playing back and forth at this game, you and I and the people in my country, we're all watching as it goes back and forth and back and forth.
Quand j'avais dit que nos enfants sont en train de disparaître. J'ai pris le cas de mon petit frère, il va vous le raconter.
When I talked earlier about our younger generation leaving the country, I have a younger brother, the story of my younger brother that he has told me. He doesn't always like to tell it because it's a hard story, so he just asked me to go ahead and tell you. He had a younger brother that lived with him on the farm in Burkina. 6 years ago, he left. He said he wasn't able to make a living in Burkina as a farmer, and he was going to go to Europe or the United States, somewhere to try and make things better. From that time, 6 years ago, till today, when we are here with you, sharing Seydou's story, he hasn't heard from his brother. He doesn't know where he is. He might be dead. He may still be alive, but one thing he's pretty sure of is that he has not been successful. Because if he had been successful, he would be calling home to tell Seydou that he had made it and was okay.
Peut-être que parmi vous, si vous allez dire, mais écoute, mais si le coton, ça ne va pas, laissez le coton, faites le maïs, mais c'est le même. C'est le même problème.
So things are not working with cotton. And so you may think, well, if things aren't working with cotton, stop growing cotton and grow something else, maybe corn. But the same problems and the way the system of subsidies also applies to corn.
On m'a dit que ici, au Minnesota, c'est ça? C'est la région qui produit le plus de maïs. Il y a des gros fermiers ici qui bénéficient beaucoup de subventions par rapport à vous aussi qui faites du maïs, les petits fermiers.
I'm here in Minnesota, and I was told that there's lots and lots of corn that is produced in Minnesota, and that there are big producers of corn who are benefiting from the current subsidy system. Small farmers, however, who may also grow corn, don't benefit in the same manner as the big farmers.
Parce que je sais pas, mais d'ici 5 ans, peut-être que vous tous vous allez disparaître.
He doesn't know, but maybe in 5-10 years, the small farmers, you may have disappeared.
Et si vous disparaissez, je parle pas des petits fermiers du monde, nous on va disparaître.
And if you the small farmers here disappear, I haven't even been talking about it, but if you all disappear, surely the small farmers of the developing countries will
Donc,
also.
Il est important pour les petits fermiers des États-Unis et du monde qu'on se mette ensemble pour leur dire arrêtez cette injustice. Il faut une justice commerciale pour que tout le monde puisse jouir du fruit de ses labeurs.
So it's very important for small farmers here in America and farmers in Africa and around the world to come together and say it's time to stop this injustice. We need fair trade so that everybody can enjoy the fruits of their labor.
Parce que la vie, j'ai dit quelque chose une fois et les gens ne m'ont pas compris. Il y a 2 jours, le représentant, le directeur du commerce au Kansas, c'est lui qui a pris la parole, qui a dit mais si c'est ça, écoutez, il y a une alternative.
So earlier in the tour we were in Kansas and we were talking at Kansas State University, and when we presented this material I was not really understood, and the Secretary of Agriculture there told me, fine, if this is the problem, there are alternatives.
Mais il dit le biocarburant. J'ai dit d'accord, c'est bien.
He said one of the upcoming alternatives would be biodiesel. And I said, okay, that's great.
Parce que le coton, les graines de coton peuvent être utilisées pour faire de l'huile, pour faire du carburant.
Because the seed of the cotton can be used to make an oil, which can then be turned into biodiesel.
Donc, comme nous on fait 700 000 tonnes de coton,
so since we in Burkina produce 700 million tons of cotton,
donc si vous venez acheter les 700 000 tonnes de coton pour faire du biocarburant, je pense que l'accès au marché dont vous aviez parlé, ça serait effectif.
So if the United States would agree to come and buy that 700,000 tons of cotton to make biodiesel, then the access to the market that we were offered before would be actually true access to the market.
Parce qu'il ne faut pas dire accès au marché, alors qu'au fond, il n'y a pas d'accès au marché.
Because it doesn't no good to say you have access to the market, but the real heart of the matter is that you don't have access to the market.
C'est le contraire. Notre marché est accédé par les agro-businessmen, les multinationales ici. Mais nous, on ne peut pas avoir accès ici.
It's the conflict between the fact that our markets are open to the agribusinesses and the large producers here, but our products aren't able to come in, are not really, the market here is not really open to our products.
Bon, je ne serai pas long, je vais parce que c'est des échanges.
Well, I'm not going to speak very much more right now because this really is an exchange, should be an exchange.
Toute la production américaine, j'avais un document où ça, le maïs, la subvention au coton en 2004-2005, c'était 4 milliards de dollars américains.
I have a document in which it says that the subsidies for cotton in the United States in 2004 were $4 billion.
Mais 1% de 4 milliards de dollars, ça fait combien de milliards de francs CFA? 200, ça fait à peu près plus de 400 millions ou bien 400 milliards, je ne sais pas. 1% de subvention au coton peut sauver la filière en Afrique.
1% of that $4 billion that is subsidized could, and he was trying to convert it to CFA in dollars, but 1% of that could solve the problem of cotton in many of the countries in West Africa.
Le blé était subventionné à 7,5 milliards de dollars américains.
Wheat was subsidized at $7.5 million American dollars.
Le maïs aussi était subventionné.
And corn also was subsidized.
Mais ces subventions, c'est pas vous qui bénéficiez de ça, c'est les gros.
And the current system of subsidizing really favors those who can produce the most, the big farmers, not you, the small.
Est-ce que vous, j'étais au Kansas avant-hier chez Jackie, mais j'ai mangé de l'organique. Mais c'est bon. Et peut-être que ça même c'est organique aussi. Mais c'est bon. Mais c'est fait par des petits fermiers comme vous.
2 days ago in Kansas, we visited with a farmer and we ate a meal that was all organic, local grown organic produce, and it was good. This food, I don't know if all of it is organic, but it is also good, made by small farmers like you.
Mais est-ce que vous pensez que si vous allez chez les gros fermiers, vous allez avoir des trucs purement organiques comme ça?
But do you think that if you go to the large producers, you're going to find good organic products like this?
Votre santé, vous pensez que là-bas, votre santé peut être assez développée? Vous êtes sûr que votre santé sera la meilleure?
Your health also is something to take into consideration. That your health can improve or could become worse depending on the product.
Tout ce que je vous demande, c'est qu'on soit unis et qu'on puisse faire entendre la voix du fermier du monde. Merci.
All I'm asking is that we figure out ways to work together so that the voice of farmers all around the world can be heard. Thank you.
Merci.
For more on Oxfam America's work to reform U.S. crop subsidies and make them fair, see www.oxfamamerica.org. That's www.oxfamamerica.org. The Land Stewardship Project is currently working on the 2007 Farm Bill. Our Federal Farm Policy Committee is developing initiatives that could help make federal programs a fair deal for family farmers, rural communities, the environment, and taxpayers. For details, call 612-722-6377 or visit www.landstewardshipproject.org. That's 612-722-6377 or landstewardshipproject.org. Send your comments, criticisms, and suggestions about this podcast to me, Brian DeVore, at bdevore@landstewardshipproject.org. You can also call me at 612-729-6294. A special thank you goes out to Laura Borgendale, a Western Minnesota musician and LSP staffer who provided Ear to the Ground's theme music. And a very special thank you to all of Land Stewardship Project's members who make initiatives such as this podcast possible. If you're not a member and would like to support us, go to landstewardshipproject.org to learn how to join LSP. Thanks for listening.